Question 1. Which of the following statements accurately reflects the concept of due process under the law in Oklahoma? A. Due process guarantees that all legal proceedings will be fair and that individuals will be treated equally under the law. B. Due process ensures that law enforcement officers have the authority to search and seize evidence without warrants in certain circumstances. C. Due process only applies to criminal cases and does not extend to civil matters. D. Due process allows individuals to be tried and convicted without presenting evidence against them. Correct answer, A. Due process guarantees that all legal proceedings will be fair and that individuals will be treated equally under the law. Explanation. Due process, as guaranteed by the 5th and 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution, ensures that individuals are treated fairly and impartially by the government. It includes the right to a fair and public trial, the right to notice of the charges, the right to confront witnesses, and the right to an attorney. In Oklahoma, due process is a fundamental principle that underlies the criminal justice system, ensuring that defendants receive fair treatment and protection of their rights throughout legal proceedings. Question 2. In the context of community policing, which of the following actions best demonstrates cultural sensitivity and awareness? A. Implementing strict enforcement measures without considering community feedback. B. Engaging with community leaders to understand cultural norms and concerns. C. Targeting specific ethnic groups for increased surveillance. D. Disregarding cultural differences during interactions with community members. Correct answer, B. Engaging with community leaders to understand cultural norms and concerns. Explanation. Community policing emphasizes building positive relationships and trust between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve. Cultural sensitivity and awareness are essential components of effective community policing. Engaging with community leaders to understand cultural norms and concerns demonstrates respect for diversity and a commitment to addressing the unique needs of different cultural groups. It fosters collaboration and cooperation, leading to better communication and problem-solving within the community. Question 3. Mr. Rodriguez, a law enforcement officer in Oklahoma City, responds to a domestic disturbance call. Upon arrival, he encounters a heated argument between two individuals in a public park. One individual appears visibly agitated and is shouting profanities. The other individual seems fearful and attempts to avoid confrontation. What should Officer Rodriguez do in this situation? A. Immediately intervene and physically restrain the agitated individual to prevent escalation. B. Assess the situation from a safe distance and attempt to de-escalate the conflict through verbal communication. C. Disregard the situation since it is occurring in a public space and does not pose a direct threat to public safety. D. Arrest both individuals involved in the disturbance to maintain order and peace in the park. Correct answer, B. Assess the situation from a safe distance and attempt to de-escalate the conflict through verbal communication. Explanation. In this scenario, Officer Rodriguez should prioritize de-escalation and conflict resolution techniques to diffuse the situation peacefully. Approaching the individuals calmly and assessing the level of threat from a safe distance allows him to determine the appropriate course of action. Engaging in verbal communication, using active listening skills, and attempting to calm the situation without resorting to physical force aligns with principles of community policing and conflict resolution. Arresting individuals should be considered as a last resort when all other attempts to de-escalate have failed or when there is an imminent threat to public safety. Question 4. According to ethical standards for law enforcement officers, what is the importance of maintaining confidentiality and discretion in handling sensitive information? A. Confidentiality and discretion are not essential in law enforcement and can be overlooked in certain situations. B. Maintaining confidentiality and discretion helps build trust with community members and protects sensitive information from unauthorized disclosure. C. Law enforcement officers are required to disclose all information they possess to the public to ensure transparency. D. Confidentiality and discretion are only relevant in civil cases and have no bearing on criminal investigations. Correct answer. B. Maintaining confidentiality and discretion helps build trust with community members and protects sensitive information from unauthorized disclosure. Explanation. Law enforcement officers are entrusted with sensitive information during the course of their duties, including personal details of individuals, ongoing investigations, and confidential informants. Upholding confidentiality and discretion is essential to preserve trust between law enforcement agencies and the community they serve. It ensures that sensitive information is safeguarded from unauthorized access or disclosure, thereby protecting the integrity of investigations and respecting the privacy rights of individuals involved. Question 5. In a scenario involving an active shooter incident in a public area, what should law enforcement officers prioritize as part of their emergency response procedures? A. Negotiating with the shooter to peacefully resolve the situation without using force. B. Evacuating civilians to safety and securing the area to prevent further casualties. C. Waiting for specialized tactical units to arrive before taking any action. D. Engaging in a direct confrontation with the shooter to neutralize the threat immediately. Correct answer. B. Evacuating civilians to safety and securing the area to prevent further casualties. Explanation. During an active shooter incident, the primary goal of law enforcement officers is to protect human life and ensure the safety of civilians. Evacuating individuals from the immediate danger zone and securing the area to prevent further harm is a top priority. This may involve establishing a perimeter, providing medical assistance to the injured, and coordinating with other emergency responders to manage the crisis effectively. Engaging the shooter should only be considered as a last resort when all other options for de-escalation and evacuation have been exhausted. Question 6. When conducting a criminal investigation, what role does forensic evidence analysis play in establishing the facts of a case? A. Forensic evidence analysis is irrelevant and often leads to false conclusions. B. Forensic evidence analysis provides definitive proof of guilt or innocence in all cases. C. Forensic evidence analysis can help corroborate or refute witness testimony and provide valuable leads for investigators. D. Forensic evidence analysis is only used in civil cases and has no relevance to criminal investigations. Correct answer. C. Forensic evidence analysis can help corroborate or refute witness testimony and provide valuable leads for investigators. Explanation. Forensic evidence analysis plays a crucial role in criminal investigations by providing scientific support to establish facts and identify perpetrators. It can help corroborate or refute witness testimony, reconstruct events leading to a crime, and provide valuable leads for investigators to pursue. Forensic disciplines such as DNA analysis, fingerprinting, ballistics, and trace evidence examination contribute to the collection of evidence and the pursuit of justice in criminal cases. Question 7. Why is physical fitness important for law enforcement officers, particularly in relation to defensive tactics? A. Physical fitness is irrelevant to law enforcement duties and does not impact an officer's ability to perform defensive tactics effectively. B. Physical fitness enhances an officer's agility, strength, and endurance, enabling them to respond more effectively to physical threats and safely subdue suspects. C. Law enforcement officers rely solely on firearms and other weapons for self-defense, making physical fitness unnecessary. D. Physical fitness is only required for specialized units within law enforcement and does not apply to routine patrol duties. Correct answer. B. Physical fitness enhances an officer's agility, strength, and endurance, enabling them to respond more effectively to physical threats and safely subdue suspects. Explanation. Physical fitness is integral to the performance of law enforcement duties, particularly when it comes to defensive tactics and use of force situations. Maintaining optimal physical condition enhances an officer's ability to respond swiftly and effectively to threats, reducing the risk of injury to themselves and others. Physical fitness contributes to agility, strength, endurance, and overall wellness, all of which are essential for law enforcement officers to fulfill their duties safely and efficiently. Question 8. In a rapidly evolving crisis situation, how can law enforcement officers apply critical thinking skills to make informed decisions? A. By relying on intuition and instinct rather than analyzing the situation objectively. B. By seeking guidance from superiors and following established protocols without deviation. C. By carefully assessing the available information, identifying potential risks and consequences, and evaluating alternative courses of action. D. By deferring decision-making to other emergency responders and agencies to avoid responsibility. Correct answer. C. By carefully assessing the available information, identifying potential risks and consequences, and evaluating alternative courses of action. Explanation. Critical thinking is essential for law enforcement officers to navigate complex and dynamic situations effectively. In crisis scenarios, officers must analyze the available information, anticipate potential outcomes, and evaluate the risks and benefits of different courses of action. By employing critical thinking skills, officers can make informed decisions under pressure, adapt to changing circumstances, and prioritize actions that maximize public safety and minimize harm. Question 9. When is the use of deadly force considered legally justified for law enforcement officers in Oklahoma? A. Whenever officers feel threatened or perceive a risk to their safety, regardless of the circumstances. B. Only as a last resort to prevent imminent death or serious bodily injury to themselves or others. C. Whenever officers encounter individuals suspected of committing a felony offense, regardless of the level of threat they pose. D. Only when authorized by a supervisor or commanding officer, regardless of the situation. Correct answer. B. Only as a last resort to prevent imminent death or serious bodily injury to themselves or others. Explanation. The use of deadly force by law enforcement officers is governed by strict guidelines and legal standards to ensure the protection of human life and respect for individual rights. In Oklahoma, deadly force is justified only when an officer reasonably believes it is necessary to prevent imminent death or serious bodily injury to themselves or others. Officers are trained to use deadly force as a last resort, after exhausting all other means of de-escalation and non-lethal intervention, and only when there is an immediate threat of grave harm that cannot be reasonably avoided. Question 10. Why is psychological assessment an important component of the law enforcement hiring process? A. Psychological assessment helps identify candidates with physical fitness deficiencies that may hinder their performance as law enforcement officers. B. Psychological assessment is irrelevant to the law enforcement hiring process and does not impact an individual's suitability for the job. C. Psychological assessment evaluates candidates' emotional resilience, stress management abilities, and suitability for handling the demands of law enforcement work. D. Psychological assessment assesses candidates' knowledge of legal procedures and criminal justice principles. Correct answer. C. Psychological assessment evaluates candidates' emotional resilience, stress management abilities, and suitability for handling the demands of law enforcement work. Explanation. Psychological assessment is a crucial step in the law enforcement hiring process to evaluate candidates' psychological suitability and fitness for the demands of the job. It assesses factors such as emotional resilience, stress management abilities, decision-making skills, ethical judgment, and interpersonal dynamics. By screening candidates for psychological suitability, agencies can identify individuals who are well equipped to handle the challenges and stressors inherent in law enforcement work while promoting the well-being of both officers and the communities they serve. Question 11. What is the significance of the exclusionary rule in the context of search and seizure laws in Oklahoma? A. The exclusionary rule allows law enforcement officers to conduct searches without warrants in any situation. B. The exclusionary rule mandates that evidence obtained through unlawful searches or seizures cannot be used in court proceedings. C. The exclusionary rule applies only to civil cases and has no impact on criminal investigations. D. The exclusionary rule permits law enforcement to use any evidence obtained, regardless of the legality of the search or seizure. Correct answer. B. The exclusionary rule mandates that evidence obtained through unlawful searches or seizures cannot be used in court proceedings. Explanation. The exclusionary rule is a legal principle that prohibits the use of evidence obtained through unconstitutional searches or seizures in criminal court proceedings. In Oklahoma, as in other jurisdictions, this rule serves to deter law enforcement officers from violating individuals' constitutional rights against unreasonable searches and seizures. It reinforces the Fourth Amendment's protection against unlawful intrusion by ensuring that evidence illegally obtained is excluded from trial, thereby upholding the integrity of the criminal justice system. Question 12. How can law enforcement officers effectively engage with culturally diverse communities to promote trust and cooperation? A. By enforcing strict disciplinary measures to ensure compliance with the law. B. By demonstrating empathy, respect, and cultural sensitivity in their interactions. C. By avoiding interactions with communities that have different cultural backgrounds. D. By prioritizing the interests of one cultural group over others. Correct answer. B. By demonstrating empathy, respect, and cultural sensitivity in their interactions. Explanation. Effective engagement with culturally diverse communities requires law enforcement officers to demonstrate empathy, respect, and cultural sensitivity in their interactions. Building trust and cooperation involves actively listening to community members' concerns, acknowledging cultural differences, and adapting communication styles accordingly. Officers should strive to foster inclusive environments where all individuals feel respected and valued, regardless of their cultural background. By embracing diversity and cultural competence, law enforcement agencies can strengthen community partnerships and enhance public safety outcomes. Question 13. Mrs. Thompson, a law enforcement officer in Tulsa, responds to a noise complaint at a residential neighborhood late at night. Upon arrival, she encounters a group of teenagers playing loud music in front of a house. Some neighbors have complained about the disturbance. What action should Officer Thompson take in this situation? A. Immediately issue citations to the teenagers for disturbing the peace and order them to leave the area. B. Assess the situation and request backup before approaching the teenagers to address the noise complaint. C. Politely ask the teenagers to lower the volume of the music and remind them of the local noise ordinances. D. Ignore the noise complaint since it is occurring during late hours, and residents should expect some level of disturbance. Correct answer. C. Politely ask the teenagers to lower the volume of the music and remind them of the local noise ordinances. Explanation. In this scenario, Officer Thompson should approach the teenagers politely and request them to lower the volume of the music in consideration of the neighborhood residents. Reminding them of the local noise ordinances and the impact of their behavior on others can help resolve the situation peacefully. Issuing citations or taking punitive measures should be considered as a last resort after attempting to resolve the issue through communication and cooperation. Officer Thompson's response should prioritize community engagement and conflict resolution while upholding public order. Question 14. How does accountability contribute to maintaining public trust in law enforcement agencies? A. Accountability ensures that law enforcement officers are above scrutiny and exempt from oversight. B. Accountability holds law enforcement agencies and officers responsible for their actions and decisions. C. Accountability protects law enforcement officers from facing consequences for misconduct. D. Accountability undermines the authority of law enforcement agencies and diminishes public confidence. Correct answer. B. Accountability holds law enforcement agencies and officers responsible for their actions and decisions. Explanation. Accountability is essential for maintaining public trust in law enforcement agencies by holding officers and agencies responsible for their actions and decisions. It ensures transparency, integrity, and adherence to ethical standards in the conduct of law enforcement duties. Accountability mechanisms, such as internal affairs investigations, civilian oversight boards, and disciplinary measures, help address misconduct, promote accountability, and foster public confidence in the fairness and impartiality of law enforcement institutions. Question 15. During a natural disaster, what role do law enforcement officers play in coordinating emergency response efforts? A. Law enforcement officers have no role in coordinating emergency response efforts and focus solely on law enforcement duties. B. Law enforcement officers lead all emergency response efforts and direct other agencies accordingly. C. Law enforcement officers collaborate with other emergency responders and agencies to ensure the safety and security of affected areas. D. Law enforcement officers prioritize their own safety and do not participate in emergency response activities. Correct answer. C. Law enforcement officers collaborate with other emergency responders and agencies to ensure the safety and security of affected areas. Explanation. Law enforcement officers play a crucial role in coordinating emergency response efforts during natural disasters by collaborating with other emergency responders and agencies. They help maintain public safety, provide assistance to affected individuals, and ensure the orderly evacuation of at-risk areas. Law enforcement agencies often work in partnership with fire departments, emergency medical services, and government agencies to facilitate a coordinated response to emergencies, mitigate risks, and protect lives and property. Question 16. What steps should law enforcement officers take to ensure the integrity of a crime scene during the initial response phase? A. Allow unauthorized personnel to enter the crime scene to gather evidence. B. Minimize documentation of evidence to expedite the investigation process. C. Secure the perimeter of the crime scene to prevent unauthorized access. D. Delay the collection of evidence until all suspects have been apprehended. Correct answer. C. Secure the perimeter of the crime scene to prevent unauthorized access. Explanation. Securing the perimeter of a crime scene is essential to preserving its integrity and preventing contamination or loss of evidence. Law enforcement officers should establish a secure perimeter, restrict access to authorized personnel only, and document entry and exit points. This helps ensure that evidence remains undisturbed and admissible in court proceedings. Allowing unauthorized personnel to enter the crime scene or delaying evidence collection can compromise the investigation and hinder the pursuit of justice. Question 17. Why is proper training in defensive tactics crucial for law enforcement officers? A. Defensive tactics training is unnecessary since law enforcement officers rarely encounter physical confrontations. B. Proper training in defensive tactics reduces the risk of injury to both officers and suspects during confrontational situations. C. Law enforcement officers rely solely on firearms and other weapons for self-defense, making defensive tactics training irrelevant. D. Defensive tactics training is reserved for specialized units within law enforcement and does not apply to routine patrol duties. Correct answer. B. Proper training in defensive tactics reduces the risk of injury to both officers and suspects during confrontational situations. Explanation. Proper training in defensive tactics is essential for law enforcement officers to effectively respond to physical confrontations and use of force situations while minimizing the risk of injury to themselves and others. Defensive tactics training encompasses techniques for controlling and restraining individuals, de-escalating volatile situations, and safely resolving conflicts without resorting to lethal force. By mastering defensive tactics skills, officers can enhance their ability to manage confrontations, protect public safety, and maintain professional conduct in challenging environments. Question 18. How does strategic thinking contribute to effective crime prevention efforts by law enforcement agencies? A. Strategic thinking is irrelevant to crime prevention efforts and has no impact on law enforcement strategies. B. Strategic thinking enables law enforcement agencies to identify and address underlying factors contributing to crime. C. Law enforcement agencies rely solely on reactive measures rather than proactive strategies for crime prevention. D. Strategic thinking involves micromanaging operational details and does not apply to overarching crime prevention goals. Correct answer: B. Strategic thinking enables law enforcement agencies to identify and address underlying factors contributing to crime. Explanation: Strategic thinking plays a crucial role in effective crime prevention efforts by enabling law enforcement agencies to identify and address underlying factors contributing to crime. It involves analyzing crime trends, assessing risk factors, and developing proactive strategies to address community needs and vulnerabilities. By adopting a strategic approach to crime prevention, agencies can allocate resources more effectively, collaborate with community stakeholders, and implement targeted interventions that address the root causes of crime while promoting public safety and well-being. Question 19. What are the key principles of firearm safety that law enforcement officers must adhere to during firearms training and operations? A. Law enforcement officers are exempt from firearm safety rules due to their specialized training. B. Firearms should be treated as if they are always unloaded, and officers must keep their fingers off the trigger until ready to fire. C. Officers should point their firearms at any potential threat without hesitation to demonstrate readiness. D. Officers are allowed to modify their firearms according to personal preferences without consulting department regulations. Correct answer: B. Firearms should be treated as if they are always unloaded, and officers must keep their fingers off the trigger until ready to fire. Explanation: Firearms safety is paramount for law enforcement officers to prevent accidental discharges and ensure the safety of themselves and others. The key principles of firearm safety include treating all firearms as if they are loaded, keeping fingers off the trigger until ready to fire, pointing firearms in a safe direction, and being aware of the target and what is beyond it. Officers must adhere to these principles rigorously during firearms training and operations to minimize the risk of injuries or fatalities. Question 20. Under Oklahoma criminal law, what constitutes probable cause for the issuance of a search warrant? A. Probable cause requires law enforcement officers to have a mere suspicion that a crime has been committed. B. Probable cause exists when there is concrete evidence of a suspect's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. C. Probable cause is established when there is a reasonable belief that evidence of a crime will be found in the location to be searched. D. Probable cause is irrelevant in the issuance of search warrants in Oklahoma. Correct answer: C. Probable cause is established when there is a reasonable belief that evidence of a crime will be found in the location to be searched. Explanation: Probable cause for the issuance of a search warrant exists when there is a reasonable belief, based on facts and circumstances known to the officer, that evidence of a crime will be found in the location to be searched. This standard requires more than a mere suspicion but does not necessitate proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Law enforcement officers must present sufficient information to a judge or magistrate demonstrating the basis for their belief in order to obtain a search warrant lawfully in Oklahoma. Question 21. How does the implementation of community policing principles contribute to crime prevention and public safety? A. Community policing principles prioritize aggressive enforcement tactics to deter criminal activity. B. Community policing fosters collaboration between law enforcement agencies and community members, leading to increased trust and cooperation. C. Community policing focuses solely on reactive measures rather than proactive strategies for crime prevention. D. Community policing discourages community involvement in law enforcement activities and decision-making processes. Correct answer: B. Community policing fosters collaboration between law enforcement agencies and community members, leading to increased trust and cooperation. Explanation: Community policing emphasizes proactive engagement, problem-solving, and collaboration between law enforcement agencies and community members to address crime and disorder effectively. By building partnerships with residents, businesses, and organizations, law enforcement agencies can gain valuable insights into community needs and concerns, develop tailored strategies to address local issues, and mobilize resources more efficiently. Community policing initiatives promote trust, transparency, and mutual respect, resulting in safer neighborhoods and enhanced quality of life for residents. Question 22. Officer Jackson, patrolling in Norman, encounters a distressed individual who appears to be experiencing a mental health crisis in a public park. The individual is shouting incoherently and exhibiting erratic behavior. What should Officer Jackson prioritize in this situation? A. Detain the individual immediately to prevent any potential harm to themselves or others. B. Use force to subdue the individual and restore order in the park. C. Establish verbal communication with the individual, assess the situation calmly, and call for additional support, including mental health professionals if available. D. Ignore the individual's behavior since it is occurring in a public space. Correct answer. C. Establish verbal communication with the individual, assess the situation calmly, and call for additional support, including mental health professionals if available. Explanation. In this scenario involving a person in distress with possible mental health issues, Officer Jackson should prioritize establishing verbal communication, maintaining a calm demeanor, and assessing the situation carefully. Calling for additional support, including mental health professionals or crisis intervention teams, can provide specialized assistance in de-escalating the situation and connecting the individual with appropriate resources and support services. Using force or ignoring the individual's behavior could exacerbate the crisis and jeopardize both the individual's safety and the safety of others in the vicinity. Question 23. Why is integrity considered a foundational principle of ethical conduct for law enforcement officers? A. Integrity is irrelevant to law enforcement duties and does not impact an officer's effectiveness. B. Integrity ensures that law enforcement officers are exempt from accountability for their actions. C. Integrity fosters public trust and confidence in law enforcement agencies by demonstrating honesty, transparency, and adherence to ethical standards. D. Integrity is only required in personal matters and has no bearing on an officer's professional conduct. Correct answer. C. Integrity fosters public trust and confidence in law enforcement agencies by demonstrating honesty, transparency, and adherence to ethical standards. Explanation. Integrity is a core value for law enforcement officers, encompassing honesty, transparency, and adherence to ethical principles in both personal and professional conduct. Upholding integrity fosters public trust and confidence in law enforcement agencies by demonstrating accountability, professionalism, and a commitment to serving the community with honor and integrity. Officers who exhibit integrity are more likely to uphold the rule of law, respect individual rights, and maintain the public's respect and cooperation. Question 24. What are the primary responsibilities of law enforcement officers during a large-scale emergency or disaster? A. Law enforcement officers should prioritize their own safety and well-being above all other considerations. B. Law enforcement officers are solely responsible for managing all aspects of the emergency response without assistance from other agencies. C. Law enforcement officers collaborate with other emergency responders and agencies to protect lives, maintain public order, and ensure the safety and security of affected areas. D. Law enforcement officers should evacuate the affected area immediately to avoid personal. Correct answer. C. Law enforcement officers collaborate with other emergency responders and agencies to protect lives, maintain public order, and ensure the safety and security of affected areas. Explanation. During a large-scale emergency or disaster, law enforcement officers collaborate with other emergency responders and agencies to protect lives, maintain public order, and ensure the safety and security of affected areas. Their responsibilities may include evacuating residents from danger zones, providing assistance to injured individuals, securing critical infrastructure, managing traffic flow, and coordinating resources and response efforts with other agencies. Collaboration and coordination among law enforcement, fire departments, emergency medical services, and government agencies are essential for an effective and comprehensive emergency response. Question 25. What role does the chain of custody play in the handling and preservation of evidence during a criminal investigation? A. The chain of custody ensures that evidence is tampered with or contaminated to secure convictions. B. The chain of custody is irrelevant to the admissibility of evidence in court proceedings. C. The chain of custody establishes a documented record of the chronological history of the evidence from its collection to its presentation in court, ensuring its integrity and reliability. D. The chain of custody allows law enforcement officers to dispose of evidence at their discretion. Correct answer. C. The chain of custody establishes a documented record of the chronological history of the evidence from its collection to its presentation in court, ensuring its integrity and reliability. Explanation. The chain of custody is a crucial aspect of evidence handling and preservation in criminal investigations, ensuring the integrity and reliability of evidence presented in court proceedings. It establishes a documented record of the chronological history of the evidence, including its collection, storage, handling, and transfer from the crime scene to the courtroom. Adhering to strict protocols for maintaining the chain of custody helps prevent tampering, contamination, or loss of evidence, thereby safeguarding the rights of defendants and ensuring the fairness and accuracy of the criminal justice process. Question 26. Why is ongoing physical fitness training essential for law enforcement officers throughout their careers? A. Ongoing physical fitness training is unnecessary once initial training requirements are met. B. Physical fitness training helps officers maintain optimal health and wellness, enhancing their ability to perform job duties effectively. C. Law enforcement officers are exempt from physical fitness requirements after a certain number of years of service. D. Physical fitness training is solely for aesthetic purposes and does not impact an officer's job performance. Correct answer. B. Physical fitness training helps officers maintain optimal health and wellness, enhancing their ability to perform job duties effectively. Explanation. Ongoing physical fitness training is crucial for law enforcement officers to maintain optimal health, wellness, and job performance throughout their careers. Regular exercise and fitness activities help officers build and maintain strength, endurance, agility, and overall physical well-being, which are essential for performing demanding law enforcement duties effectively. By prioritizing physical fitness, officers can reduce the risk of injury, improve their resilience to stress, and enhance their ability to respond to dynamic and challenging situations in the field. Question 27. How can law enforcement officers apply critical thinking skills to effectively assess and respond to complex situations involving multiple stakeholders and competing interests? A. By relying on intuition and personal biases to make quick decisions without considering alternative perspectives. B. By seeking input and collaboration from diverse stakeholders to gather different viewpoints and analyze the situation comprehensively. C. By prioritizing their own interests and objectives over those of other stakeholders to achieve desired outcomes. D. By avoiding situations that require critical thinking and problem-solving skills altogether. Correct answer. B. By seeking input and collaboration from diverse stakeholders to gather different viewpoints and analyze the situation comprehensively. Explanation. Law enforcement officers can apply critical thinking skills to effectively assess and respond to complex situations by seeking input and collaboration from diverse stakeholders. Gathering different viewpoints, perspectives, and expertise allows officers to analyze the situation comprehensively, identify potential solutions, and evaluate the impact of their decisions on various stakeholders and interests. By engaging in open dialogue, considering alternative perspectives, and weighing competing priorities, officers can make informed decisions that promote consensus, cooperation, and positive outcomes for all parties involved. Question 28. Officer Garcia, patrolling in Edmond, encounters a group of teenagers vandalizing public property in a local park. The teenagers are unaware of Officer Garcia's presence. How should Officer Garcia approach the situation? A. Immediately confront the teenagers and issue citations for vandalism. B. Observe the teenagers discreetly, gather evidence of the vandalism, and intervene to stop the behavior. C. Ignore the teenagers' actions since they are minors and may not understand the consequences of their behavior. D. Call for backup and request assistance from other officers before approaching the teenagers. Correct answer. B. Observe the teenagers discreetly, gather evidence of the vandalism, and intervene to stop the behavior. Explanation. In this scenario, Officer Garcia should prioritize gathering evidence discreetly and intervening to stop the vandalism without alerting the teenagers to his presence. Observing the situation allows Officer Garcia to gather evidence, assess the extent of the vandalism, and develop a plan to address the behavior effectively. Once sufficient evidence is obtained, Officer Garcia can approach the teenagers, identify himself as a law enforcement officer, and intervene to stop the vandalism. Issuing citations or taking enforcement action may follow, depending on the severity of the offense and departmental protocols. Question 29. Why is emotional resilience an important characteristic for law enforcement officers? A. Emotional resilience is irrelevant to the demands of law enforcement work and does not impact an officer's ability to perform duties effectively. B. Emotional resilience enables officers to manage stress, cope with adversity, and maintain psychological well-being in challenging situations. C. Law enforcement officers are exempt from experiencing emotional challenges or stressors due to their specialized training. D. Emotional resilience is only required for specialized units within law enforcement and does not apply to routine patrol duties. Correct answer. B. Emotional resilience enables officers to manage stress, cope with adversity, and maintain psychological well-being in challenging situations. Explanation. Emotional resilience is a critical characteristic for law enforcement officers to effectively manage the psychological demands and stressors inherent in their profession. It enables officers to cope with adversity, maintain psychological well-being, and adapt to challenging situations with confidence and composure. By developing emotional resilience, officers can better navigate the rigors of law enforcement work, make sound decisions under pressure, and maintain professional effectiveness while promoting their own mental health and well-being. Question 30. Why is clear and concise written communication important for law enforcement officers when documenting incidents and investigations? A. Clear and concise written communication is unnecessary, as long as basic information is recorded. B. Written communication is solely for internal use and does not impact the accuracy or effectiveness of investigative reports. C. Clear and concise written communication ensures that information is accurately recorded, easily understood, and admissible in court proceedings. D. Law enforcement officers are exempt from documenting incidents and investigations in writing. Correct answer. C. Clear and concise written communication ensures that information is accurately recorded, easily understood, and admissible in court proceedings. Explanation. Clear and concise written communication is essential for law enforcement officers when documenting incidents and investigations to ensure that information is accurately recorded, easily understood, and admissible in court proceedings. Well-written reports provide a factual and chronological account of events, detail evidence collected, document witness statements, and record investigative findings in a manner that is clear, concise, and objective. Effective written communication enhances the credibility of officers' testimony, facilitates collaboration with other agencies, and supports the administration of justice by providing accurate and reliable documentation of law enforcement activities.